paused it. I have the chat box. Your face is taking up the.
What's up, guys? We are live for week 1. Alex and Mark ready to give you tons of value. Let's do this. Alex, what's going on? How was your off season?
It was good. I missed football, but the Mets are doing well, so we're chilling.
Mets are doing well. You've got your typical soccer jersey on there. Which one is this?
España, PK.
España. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, let's get away from football and we can talk about football. And hopefully you guys notice we got a little bit of a different look here. Hopefully it helps you out. If it sucks, then let us know. And I owe Alex a beer, and we'll get back to what's good. But let's kick it right off with some quarterbacks. Again, just a reminder, we're looking at value picks for week 1 this week. Mostly, I think we're going to target the Sunday games. We only had one person on the Thursday games, and that was Marcus Wheaton, who we can talk about quickly, but we'll talk about him in the receivers. So first quarterback up right now, Sam Bradford of the Eagles, new Philly boy this year. He's playing at the Falcons this Sunday. Fanduel sitting at 7,500, 6,900 at DraftKings. Chip Kelly, I think he rocks him to sleep at night. That's what makes me like Sam Bradford. What about you?
It's Sam Bradford. He's still a number 1 overall draft pick at quarterback. Dude's good. He just needs to be healthy. He was fine when he was healthy in St. Louis, and now he has a better offense, a quicker offense, and much, much better weapons with better protection. As long as they keep him upright, he's good this week and the rest of the season.
Very good point. I agree. It's just that Chip Kelly offense, man. Gotta love it. Bradford ran something similar at Oklahoma, so I think he's going to kind of be right at home. I think we're going to see him as long as he's healthy. He's going to kick some butt this year. So we'll move on to.
You want to know the most underrated part about him in Philly?
I do.
Guess who his running back was at Oklahoma?
Who is that?
DeMarco Murray.
Wow! Look at that.
Big.
Look at that.
I mean, like people don't. I feel like
it's
people
familiarity, man.
Remember that. Like that's kind of big.
That is. I mean, it's a good thing to have someone that you're hopefully familiar with. They didn't lose any. They've been apart for 4 years.
Yeah, DeMarco Murray is the best running back in football last year. He knows what Bradford can do. I'm sure they both know the NFL now. And they're superstars. And Bradford will be a superstar as long as he stays healthy.
I agree.
If he's healthy, dreaded if he's healthy.
This Falcons defense, though, also, I mean, I don't really see much. Don't see that Atlanta did much to improve it in this offseason. So I'm thinking they're just going to be another sieve.
Their only big addition is already hurt in Brooks Reed. And I don't even really call him a big addition, but he would have rushed the passer. But he's hurt for a little while, probably most of the season.
Well, all right. So we both like Sam. Let's move on to Teddy B. Teddy Bridgewater, your boy. We constantly went to him at the end of last year. Going at the 49ers this Sunday, I believe, not Monday. FanDuel 7,200, DraftKings 6,600. It's his second year under North Turner now, who's always been looked at as kind of like the QB guru, QB whisperer, if you want to take that title from Mark Trestman. What makes you think he's going to dominate the 49ers this weekend?
The only worry I have of him not dominating the 49ers is Navarro Bowman becoming the best linebacker in football again. But other than Bowman, that defense got decimated. You lost your captain in Willis. You lost Borland. You lost Justin Smith. That team is decimated. Their offense isn't very good, so they're going to give up the ball pretty quickly because our favorite Colin Kaepernick is still running the ship over in San Francisco. God, I hate him. Their offense isn't good. Their line is bad. Their offense is going to be bad. I mean, I love Carlos Hyde on his own, but in that offense, it's terrible. So Minnesota's going to have a lot of the ball, and I think that helps a lot, especially with this defense that just seems like it doesn't have any experience.
You're right, though. Bowman did come back really, really, really well this past weekend or 2 weekends ago. I mean, he's had the full amount of time that he needs to recover from that injury, so I think he can. I think he's going to be good, but again, you didn't even mention Aldon Smith. I mean, they lost 4 top-notch guys that were easily starters and studs, on any other defense in the league. So to lose those guys is huge. So I agree. I think Teddy B can do some damage this weekend, but he's going to have to carve up that secondary. I think it'll be a little bit better than having a less of a pass rush. It'll allow him to get the ball out when he needs to.
Yeah, and he's more experienced in a Norv Turner offense. He's got your boy back, Adrian Peterson, the best running back in all of football.
Yeah.
I mean, and Rudolph's healthy. Charles Johnson another year. Add Mike Wallace just for fun. Like, this offense is good.
Yeah. Moving on to next set of quarterbacks here. We've got Marcus Mariota of the Titans. He's actually playing at Jameis Winston of the Bucks. We have number 2 versus number 1. I don't know when that happened last. I mean, that's pretty rare if you ask me. I mean, recent memory serves me. I don't remember that happening, but Fanduel, Mariota's at 7,100, Winston's at 69, and on DraftKings they're both sitting at 6,900. I mean, can we really expect anything out of them? Both of them their first start?
I mean, you can't. You can play them in tournaments if you feel like it, but like they're rookies. They're rookies going up against each other with 2 really bad defenses and 2 really bad offensive lines. This game could be awful to watch. One of them could come out and be amazing, and one of them could be terrible. It's too risky, definitely, for a cash game. You have to see what these guys can do at the NFL level before you're even going to come close to thinking about putting them in a cash game lineup. But for a tournament, sure, have fun, knock yourself out. Just don't put a lot of money on it.
I agree. You're only looking at a GPP play with these guys. I mean, you literally do not know what you're going to get or who they're going to throw to. So good luck if you have the stones to play them. I personally don't, just because, I mean, if I'm playing one, it's Winston. He has the much better...
He has a running back, in my opinion.
Not only he has a running back, he's got the much better receiving core and the better arm overall. I mean, he'll probably throw a pick, but I like him to throw for more yards than Mariota. I think Mariota, the only chance he has to keep up with him in a fantasy perspective is through running the ball.
Right. I mean, just coming out of the draft, I didn't like either of these guys. These aren't the kind of guys that I like. I didn't like Jameis. I think he's immature, and I think he's pretty stupid, even though he's smart. And Mariota, I just don't think is a good quarterback. Like, I don't like his arm at all. Like, I watched him in that Ohio State game, and you know for a fact that Cardale Jones is already a better quarterback prospect than Mariota. Like, instantly from watching.
He was their third stringer.
Exactly. And, like, Mariota's the best quarterback in the nation in college football, but he can't throw. So I have a problem with both of these guys. We'll see how it turns out, but for me personally, I'm staying way away from them until they show me something major.
I hear you with that. All right, on to the next one. He was a favorite of yours last year. You like to talk him up a big game, if I remember correctly, and that's Blake Bortles of the Jags. He's taking on the Panthers. He's at 6,400 on FanDuel, 5,900 on DraftKings. Do you love his big gun now that they kind of have a revamped receiver crew out there?
When they drafted him, it was always with the idea of him being the guy this year. Last year, he had to get thrown in the fire because Henny got hurt. So he had to learn on the job a little bit more, which I think helps him this year because now he has a full season of basically a full season of seasoning, and he gets to work with those young guys. Like, Allen Robinson's healthy to start the year. I know he lost Julius, but he still has guys that he's familiar with in Mercedes Lewis and Clay Harbor. Allen Hurns is ready to roll, and he has an extra weapon behind him. He has Yeldon starting, Denard to pick up the slack if he needs to, and worst case scenario, which hopefully, let's pray that this doesn't happen, but Toby Gerhardt. So he has options and help around him. The offense is getting a little bit better. I'm good with it. I like Bortles. I don't know if you can play him this week just because it's Carolina. You can play him in a tournament, but their front seven is a lot stronger than their cornerback. So if he's going to throw the ball, that's the area that they can get to him.
I think another year in that continuity as well. I like that thought. You're right. They did, and they mentioned it at the time, right? They didn't draft him to be the quarterback of that year. He just kind of got thrown into it. I agree. I like him this week. Initially, I liked him because the Panthers DBs were, I think both of them were both their starting DBs were under concussion protocol, but I think they both passed and they're expected to play week 1. So it's a bit of a hit to Bortles. But, overall, I think that offense is going to be worlds better than what it was last year, especially with the addition of TJ Yeldon.
Yep, we're on the same page. And Allen Robinson.
And A-Rob. All right, our last quarterback for week 1, we're looking at the newly named starter Tyrod Taylor of the Bills taking on the Colts.
You mean Ty God?
Ty God, excuse me. Ty Goat, if you will. Fanduel and DraftKings both have him at a bare punt of 5K. He runs, he throws, and he plays Indy's defense. What more do you want from this guy this week?
I want him to run the ball a lot. The Indy's defense is really bad. Yes. Like, that division, other than Andrew Luck and that offense, that division has terrible everywhere.
Yes.
Like, that whole division is just so bad. Like, they are basically, if it weren't for the Colts, they are worse than the NFC South. Period, end of discussion. They're terrible. And I mean, I know I like Jacksonville and I like them coming up this year, but Tennessee's still terrible. Houston is going with Hoyer. Have fun. Yeah, I mean, that defense isn't very good. Like, he can gash them up the middle. And, I mean, he showed in the preseason. He can throw.
He showed in the preseason he can throw an okay ball. His weapon is his feet, though, right?
Good enough for a running quarterback. Like, in my opinion, he hits his receivers better than Colin Kaepernick. Plus, he has Sammy Watkins to throw the ball to.
So, right, what I was getting at was his weapon. His biggest weapon are his feet. And this weekend, you're looking at a defense that couldn't contain anything last year. So if Tyrod gets loose, I mean, you're looking at. It's not unreasonable to think he eclipses what 70, 80 yards on the ground.
You can't, like, big game, you can think Michael Vick when he first came back with the Eagles. Like, that's the kind of upside that he has against this defense. But you can't play this in a cash game because we've never seen him throw more than garbage time in real NFL games. I would love to play him in a cash game, but because he's so cheap and it really helps you. But, I mean, This week, there's a ton of value everywhere else this week. Like, you don't really need to go cheap at quarterback. But in a tournament, this guy could give you 40 points.
I would not be surprised to see him in the Millie Makers this weekend. I would not be surprised to see him as one of the top 5 quarterbacks owned. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But you can still build a great lineup around him and get his production. You don't have to be contrarian if he's going to cost you $5,000 and get you 30-plus points. Doesn't matter if everybody else plays him.
I hear you.
It's still the best play of the week.
I hear you. I agree. All right, that was our last quarterback, so let's move on over to running backs. We've got our first guy is Lamar Miller of the Fins playing at the Redskins this week. We've got FanDuel. He's sitting at 7,300, so that's kind of high for a running back, but at DraftKings sitting down at 55. Again, we mentioned it last year, but you see that type of price discrepancy. It's always something to look at. So DraftKings sitting at 5,500. Alex, does he still run through your dreams at night or what?
Dude, I mean, I'm a Jet fan, but I love Lamar Miller. Last year, he was the RB9, didn't have 20 carries in one single game. That's ridiculous to me. That he, with all of these guys going off the board before him, he was the RB9 and didn't eclipse 20 touches, ever. He's so good. They're going to give him the ball. Basically, the way I see this Miami offense is it's Philly South. Period, end of discussion. It's Bill Lazor coming directly from Chip Kelly.
So that's what a lot of people thought. Yeah, that's what a lot of people thought last year. And
right, but it took a little while. Like, Chip Kelly being the guy that has it was implemented immediately. Plus, he had Vic running it to start, and then Foles came in and was amazing. Tannehill took a little bit longer to develop, and the system took a little bit longer because it wasn't lasers. It was a derivative of Chip Kelly moving towards Miami. So it took a little while, but you saw it towards the end of the year.
So not only that, but take into account Chip Kelly also got to make 50 roster moves that Bill Lazor didn't, right? So that attrition this year, they brought in a lot of guys, they got rid of a lot of guys. I agree with you. I think now that they're getting personnel in there that can run this system, I like Lamar Miller a whole heck of a lot, season long, but especially this weekend against the Redskins.
Yeah, I mean, and the Redskins are just awful. That defense is. They lost to Poe. I mean, they still have some nice pieces on defense ish. They
Hmm.
have a good linebacking core, but that offense is so bad.
Now, moving on to our next running back here, we've got Frank Gore, the Colts. He's going to the Bills, going to Buffalo. 7,500 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DraftKings. Again, taking a look at that price discrepancy, it's significant. I had in my note here that, hey, Boom Herron was valuable towards the end of the year last year, right? Worst thing you got was, I mean, what was it? The last couple games of the year, he got double-digit catches, right? So you're looking at a flex receiver giving you double-digit catches for a total of like 30 DraftKings points, right? Pretty ridiculous. But in saying that, they're going up against Rex Ryan and that Bills D, who you're more than familiar with not only the personnel on the Bills D, but the formations and the packages of Rex Ryan. You really think Frank Gore can provide value here?
I want to say yes, but I don't think so. I think that he is going to have a tremendous year in that offense. He's going to score double-digit touchdowns. He's going to go back to catching the ball again, like he did before Greg Roman, who's actually on the other side, came in. So I just the mixture of Rex Ryan with this defense and how they're going to stop the run. They're going to try to control the game, so that's going to be their big thing to do. Greg Roman knows Gore, so they're going to know like how like his running style a lot more intimately than other teams would. Um, he could catch a couple passes. He could be nice. Maybe as a tourney, like he could get in the end zone. Like Indy's offense is good. They're going to score points. They're not going to get shut out by the Bills, even though your Packers did last time. Sorry, I just had to take a shot. You're wearing the hat. But I mean, this defense is too good. I mean, like once Rex comes in, like it's game over for the defense is better, and the Bills' defense was already amazing without him. So
So I mean I agree, right? We had some terrible play calling when we played the Bills, but their defense just played lights out. So yeah, I mean they've got the skills to hold on to these guys. Um, I don't know. I agree with you, and that's why I brought it up. I really don't think Frank Gore can put up can put up much this week. Cheap price and all, but I don't see him really paying off, especially on FanDuel at that
and
price tag.
this is something we're going to talk about throughout the year. Like if he doesn't have a good game, awesome. His price will go down next week, and it'll be a great value play next week.
I agree. I agree. I think it'll be nice to watch. I think again, I agree with you. Season long, I think this guy's going to be valuable, especially in PPR. Is very very valuable. But this week, I'm not too convinced. I'm going to be throwing him in many lineups on any of these DFS sites.
Yep.
But this guy, Tevin Coleman, recently named the starter for the Falcons, taking on the Eagles this weekend. 6,700 on FanDuel. I don't know what they were thinking, giving him that high of a salary without even knowing he was a starter. But
Well, they assumed at that. I think when they set the prices,
well,
it
then
was.
good for them because they assumed correctly.
I'm
So
not.
they screwed the value pooch on that one. But
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
at 4,800 on DraftKings, he's obviously healthier than S-Jax, right? Steven Jackson just couldn't stay healthy. Tevin Coleman starting. I like him a lot. I think they're going to be playing from behind, especially. And talking about your boy Boom Herron earlier, I think Tevin Coleman at the worst gets you something like his type of games were towards the end of the season.
Yeah, see, I'm on the other side. I think that Devontae Freeman's the guy that catches the ball, and Tevin's going to be the one that runs it. This isn't nobody like what's it called? Nobody. They're not just going to give it to one of the guys. Like both guys are there, unless
It's running
Devontae
back by
is.
committee. I hear you.
Yeah, so like you can't bet on one of them. They're both like Devontae Freeman last year. Everybody loved him, and then all of a sudden he was just bad. Like they had four running backs last year that they were rotating through. Like you're not going to be
And
good
they
when
all
you
sucked.
there are certain running backs that need to be given the ball a lot, and then there are some that can be efficient on small amount of touches. Randall's the guy that can be efficient on small amount of touches, as we've seen before this year. Like we don't know what's going to happen with him, but we saw that early. But I feel like Devontae Freeman is a guy that needs all those extra touches. So
He
I
needs
think
them, but I just
that
don't think he's going to get them. I like Coleman. Think they named him a starter for a reason. I think they like him too. So we'll back off of Coleman. We're gonna
I think the Eagles are going to score too quickly. They're going to be ahead too much, and then Matt Ryan is going to throw the ball to Julio, and we'll get to that probably more on Thursday. But
All right, all right. Now you had to make your
Julio,
first Julio reference of the year. Congratulations. We made it in.
day number one.
I don't even know how long we are into this right now because my timer is a little off, but
Dude, don't worry. I'm going to talk
maybe
about it
15
a
minutes
lot.
into the year it took you to get to Julio. So congratulations for making it that long.
Thank you.
Um,
I haven't even talked about my three others yet, so just wait.
let's see. Moving on to with our running backs, we've got Doug Martin sitting there with the Bucks versus the Titans. Again, Fanduel expensive at $6,900. DraftKings down at 4,500. The muscle hamster. I was a huge fan of him last year. He screwed me over royally in a couple of season-long leagues, but this year, I think I'm putting my faith back into him at least for this weekend. Feel like they're going to have to rely on him a little bit to get Jabbo wins. Under a little bit more comfortable back in the pocket. Then he's going to be able to open it up. They'll be able to open up a lead, and then Doug Martin comes in and he is able to siphon off some carries and some yards towards the end of the game. Are you in my camp here? You back on the muscle hamster or what?
I like Doug. I've always liked Doug. He looked great in the preseason. He looks like he lost the weight, and he looks like he's a real running back again. People forget like he was bad, but he was hurt for 2 years. Like week 6, he goes down with the shoulder. He's done.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year he had a bunch of injuries, and that just kind of played into it. He was, I mean, he wasn't an incredibly efficient running back rookie year. I don't know. People thought he was just the best running back ever.
Right.
But he wasn't that guy. But in this offense where the focus isn't on him anymore, like it was then,
Exactly.
he can succeed.
Exactly. I
And
like it.
I think this is one of one of the only games all year that Tampa Bay could be ahead. So
I like it. Might as well try to use them while you can, especially at that $4,500 price tag on DraftKings.
right.
All right. Moving on. Let's go to Shane Vereen of the Giants. They're at the Cowboys this weekend. Night game. FanDuel 6,500, DraftKings 4,200. My note here says that he's a PPR guy who couldn't beat him, so he joined him. I mean, my Giants friends
That's good. I like that.
will be happy to see that because it's true, right? I mean, they couldn't beat him, so Vereen hopped over to the other side. Now,
It's not
does
that.
it help? Does it hurt? He doesn't have Brady as his QB anymore. He's got Eli. But
I
are we
think it
really
helps that he
concerned
doesn't
about
have
accuracy when he's
Bellatrix.
only throwing the ball 3 yards?
I think it helps that he doesn't have Bellatrix. I think McAdoo wants to use this guy. And especially with Victor Cruz not playing week 1, he's going to need to use him if they have any shot against Dallas. They're going to be behind. Rashad Jennings is going to sit real quick. I mean, I like Rashad Jennings, but Vereen is the guy that's going to catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's a great pass protector, so he's going to be in on those third down and all those passing type downs. He's going to have a lot of play, and he could do pretty, like, especially DraftKings, like we talked about last year, and we're going to talk about a lot this year. Full point PPR, six to eight catches. This guy could get 20 points without a touchdown.
It's true. I mean, the full point PPR. I mean, you've got to take that into account. I like them, especially take it into account when you're looking at cash games, right? You've got a running back in the flex is usually, according to some Jonathan Bales math, is usually in the formula for winning cash lineups, especially one that can come out of the backfield and make some catches because he's more versatile. So look at Vereen, especially with that price tag, allows you to go up and get some of those higher price guys to again stay under the cap and get you value in that cash game lineup for you. I don't think he's going to be exploding, right? I don't think he's going to be a GPP play for so much for me this weekend, but I do like him in my cash games, especially in that flex spot.
Yeah, definitely, because he's going to catch balls and extra volume.
And now, your first Jets offensive reference of the season.
Yeah,
Your boy.
No, the first one ever, because last year didn't count. Because I didn't get to talk about them at all. This is the first one we ever get to actually talk about and be positive about.
Your boy.
Let's mark this occasion because this is amazing.
Your boy Chris Ivory against the Browns. FanDuel 6,400, DraftKings 4,100.
Give me that DraftKings.
Now,
all lineups
the
doesn't
question is, will they really rely on Fitz to open up the game to keep the Browns from keeping an extra guy in the box to stop Ivory, or what? Because I'll be honest with you, I like
This
the
is what's gonna
price
happen.
tag, but I
This is
just don't
what's
see
gonna happen.
Ivory,
Listen,
performing
just
against Cleveland.
I got this one. I got this one.
Go.
Ivory's gonna run the ball the first 2 times down their throats. They're gonna start putting people in the box. Fitz is gonna throw the ball to Marshall. Then he's gonna throw the ball to Decker, and then he's gonna give the ball back to Ivory, and that's gonna repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Ivory is a monster. He lost his carries to Chris Johnson last year, which was a travesty because Chris Johnson's terrible. He's not anybody that thinks he's going to do anything in Arizona. You're fooling yourself. He's terrible. He took away all of those carries that Chris Ivory could have had, which I guess kind of helps for this year because now he's healthy and he can carry that full workload. He is a monster. I think he had third or fourth most missed tackles last year. He's basically been considered the human. If Marshawn Lynch was human, it would be Chris Ivory. He's just basically just a notch below Marshawn if he was given that type of workload. He is a monster. He is fast. He runs people over. Don't worry about the Jets running game. And we have great run blocking. Great run blocking. This team is built on run blocking and defense. It's been that way since Rex came to town, and it's going to stay that way even when Rex leaves. So Fitzpatrick is going to manage the game, use our wide receivers to clear open that extra spot in the box so there's only 7, and then Chris Ivory is going to run wild.
So, all right. I like you and I let you finish.
I know.
But
Thank you.
I'm going to be
skeptical. No, it's fine.
I'm going to be very skeptical, and I'll tell you why. Your plan almost makes too much sense, right? I'm going to use the run game to set up the pass. And
it's the Jet way, so it probably won't happen.
And then I'm going to go back to the run to set up the pass again. And it just doesn't seem to me like it's really going to happen. I think it's too good to be true.
It's not going to happen exactly like that, but the run's going to open up the pass, and the pass is going to open up the run, and they're going to be a pretty good offense.
All right,
Because Fitz isn't going to make stupid mistakes like Geno. He will make stupid mistakes. He'll make less than Geno.
All right, man.
But Chris Ivory is going to be a tank, regardless.
I hear you. All right, so let's move back to our next running back, which would be Amir Abdullah of the Lions. He's at the Chargers this weekend. Fanduel, he's at 5,900. DraftKings at 4,000. We say fear Amir, but he's a running back too in Detroit.
Bay number 3.
Are we really gonna?
That's my bay. That's one of my bays. Best at everything.
I hear you, but really this week against the Chargers, I mean, are you really thinking of putting Amir Abdullah in a lineup?
If I hear anything bad about Joique Bell, absolutely. And I think this is how I feel like we talked about this earlier when we were talking about Amir, just earlier in the day. Joique Bell, if he gets the ball 5 times, he's gonna rush for 9 yards. He is not ready to play. Once he does that, Jim Caldwell's gonna be like, nah, Amir, go in, and then he's gonna break a big one, and it's gonna be like, oh, this is our running back, and then it's gonna be game over for the rest of the year. He's gonna be a monster. He's gonna catch balls out of the backfield. He is so talented, talented.
You don't have to preach that to me because I completely agree and understand. But again,
no, in a cash game, no, you can't play him this week. I wish you could.
Can't, yeah, you're really thinking season long there, not even season long, but beginning of the season when they realize what they have, right? And it just amazes me that what he did in the preseason wasn't enough to make them realize that. But anyway,
but I think he probably might, even if they say Joique's playing. Joique, I feel like they did that with Calvin. He's a decoy. It's Amir's game. It's just not the best matchup either because San Diego can actually play a little bit of defense.
I mean, they're not, I don't know. I hear you. I don't think that they're going to lay Joique out there as like a guy that's going to get 5 carries and really be a decoy, right? I agree with you. I think Abdullah's their long-term guy, but I think for now they're just going to say, okay, we've got Joique while he's healthy. Let's play him. And once he gets injured, that's when Amir's really going to take over. So he's up here as a potential value pick, right? We like to provide you guys these picks and let you guys make the final choices, but I'm going to recommend against him this weekend. But
I will just say this: I have Amir and Joique in one of my leagues in a full PPR. Amir is starting, Joique's on the bench.
Okay, so good luck. We've got our next running back as we're starting to run over on backs here. Reggie Bush, 49ers taking on the Vikings. Fanduel 5,500, DraftKings 3,900. I have it down here as you like Bush. I don't, so I'm going to avoid him and let you go for like 30 seconds.
Did you just write you like Bush? That's it. Like Alex likes Bush. You
That's
put
it,
it in
man.
there.
That
Yeah.
that sums it up, right?
Appreciate that. That's
I
good
thought
stuff.
you would like that.
No, it's great. I do kind of like Bush this week. Just this week though. Ooh, the Mets win. Hooray! Anyway, Bush. They're gonna be down, like we talked about with Teddy. They're gonna get their asses kicked this game. The only way they're gonna come back is if Reggie Bush is on the field catching balls. Because Hyde isn't the best pass catcher. Could he be? Yes, but I don't think they view him as that.
Hmm.
And they're gonna have to throw the ball. So Reggie Bush is gonna be on the field just as much, if not more, than Hyde at the end of the game. Just chunk yardage. I don't know if you can play him in cash just because you can never rely on game script dependent type things like that for cash games.
Hmm.
But he's another guy like Vereen. 6 to 8 catches could get you 20 points even if he doesn't get in the end zone. And if he does, he can get you more than that.
I don't
But
know. I don't trust him against the Vikings D,
All
man.
right, Vereen is more game planned to the 6 to 8 catches and getting you 20 points for a touchdown. Reggie Bush is more, it needs to go break right for me to do that. Does that make sense?
A little bit, and I just don't think it's gonna
No, I
break well
agree.
for him. I just
I'm not touching him, but like
yeah.
I think he's gonna do better than his 3.9K price tag. Like he's gonna head value.
I don't
But
see
I'm
that's
not.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's even gonna get that much. I have zero faith in him for anything this weekend. I got a lot of respect for
I hope
Zimmer in that Vikings D.
I hope Hyde succeeds in that back. I love Carlos Hyde. We talked about this last year. Love Carlos Hyde.
Bastard. All right, let's move on to the next running back sitting here. Let me bring him up. Sorry about that. Danny Woodhead of the Chargers taking on the Lions, who we were just talking about. FanDuel's Woodhead is sitting at 6,000, DraftKings at 3,700. Much like Reggie, I mean, Alex likes Woodhead. So,
Oh,
what
dude.
do you
I don't
got
like
for me
Bush.
here, man?
Dude, I think he's gonna wind up with more touches than Gordon week 1. And that's just reason enough to play him. He catches balls that he was 2 years ago before, like he last year he broke his leg, but the year before that he was the RB13 in PPR leagues. He gets red zone touches. He catches the ball. He's gonna get, as the game goes along, he's gonna be in more on second down, and he's always gonna be in on third down because Melvin Gordon can't pass protect, and he doesn't even look like he can run right now. So they're gonna have a short leash on the rookie Gordon early. The ball is going to Woodhead, so I would play him in a cash game 100%. Matchup I don't care about the matchup. I think Detroit's gonna win that game, so it even helps him because he'll get more catches later in the game.
Okay, I can get behind that. Cash? You'd play him in a cash game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
For 37,
for 3,700 on DraftKings.
like that way I can play Julio and Dez.
Okay, I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah,
It's an
I'm down.
interesting look at it. Okay. Our next and final running back, another RB2 for you, Ryan Matthews sitting there. Eagles playing the Falcons. FanDuel 5,900, DraftKings 3,600. In my opinion, Chip Kelly is a coach of the people. He's a coach of the fantasy football community. He seems to be one of us with the way that he likes to spread the wealth. So, do you think Matthews gets some of that wealth this weekend?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, DeMarco Murray is going to be the majority guy, but Matthews and Sproles are going to touch the ball. And Matthews is still a guy that has been a borderline RB1 in the past. Like this isn't a bad run. Like when he's on the field, he's a great running back. The problem has always been him being on the field. Even if you give him small amounts of touches, he does a lot with those touches. I mean, I would probably wait a week to see how this kind of shakes out a little bit, even though week to week it could be crazy. But I think in a week like this, Chip Kelly is going to try to mess with everybody's heads, and Matthews and Sproles are going to take 50%, and Murray is going to take 50%. I could see that happening.
So if you see it happening, though, I mean, at 3,600, I guess I can kind of see him hitting value, right?
I feel like the same with Matthews. Woodhead, I think, is going to have more usage, like more guaranteed usage, but Matthews can do more with less. So I think Matthews probably has like a higher ceiling, but they're both pretty safe in that range that they can get over 10 points at 3.6, 3.7. They're good plays. If you really want to save money and don't want to spend a little bit extra on Ivory or Amir,
Hmm.
yeah, do it. Why not?
I can see it. Plus, he's going to get touches, like you said. He should be guaranteed almost double-digit touches, I would imagine,
There,
right?
there are too many wide receivers in shootout games for you to spend up a running back this week. There are so many good options in that 4.2 to 3.6 range
Hmm.
that you can play and be comfortable with.
Yeah. All right. That wraps up our running backs. Let's move on right to receivers. Let's keep this going because we are just about halfway done now with everybody. We got a lot of picks this week. First off is a guy that I do love this year, season long, and especially this weekend, Jarvis Landry taking on the Redskins. Fanduel 6,900, DraftKings 5,600. I mean, it's just true. We love us some fish in week one. So other than what we said about Lamar earlier, touching on the Redskins D and stuff like that, and and the whole Bill Lazor, taking over, implementing a Kelly's type of offense. Anything else to add on Landry right now?
Tannehill loves him. My Bay number 4, Devontae Parker, isn't ready to really be a big part of the offense yet, so he's going to go to Jarvis. And they're going to blow out the Redskins. And my only concern with Jarvis is they blow them out too quickly and he doesn't get his catches. That's my only concern. But, I mean, there were a lot of fears early on and in the offseason where, like, Jarvis Landry's never going to get balls near the red zone. He scored a lot of touchdowns in the red zone. He scored a bunch of touchdowns in the red zone. His usage increased weekly as Tannehill just got more comfortable with him all the time. Like him, Jeremy Hill, and Odell Beckham Jr. in the same offense in LSU. And they used to say that those three were the guys holding them back.
Yeah.
Think about that. Those three were the guys. You know who the quarterback was? Zach. So they always thought that Mettenberger wasn't the problem and that Odell and Landry and Hill were the problems. Guess who the problem was? It was Zach Mettenberger. The three of them are studs, and Landry is the only one not getting his due yet.
Let's not make this about Zach Attack, all right? We're still talking about Jarvis Landry. He's in the pros now.
I haven't talked football in a while.
Landry, I think, is going to be a PPR stud. So I think looking at him in DraftKings, even if they go up early, he's going to get his in that first half. I mean, we could see him with 5 catches alone in that first half. I like him a lot.
You always run the risk that it's 30 yards, 5 catches.
True. But again, cash game play, I think he's guaranteed that amount at least. And sitting at that, $5,600 price tag, it's not bad. But I mean, I think he's got as good a chance as anyone on that team to catch a touchdown week 1.
Yeah, I mean, for him to hit value in a cash game, he needs, the extra one? 16.8 points? It's nothing. It's nothing for him, especially if he gets a touchdown. 6 balls and a touchdown, that's 12 points already. You have 40, 50 yards, done. That's value, and he could do a lot better than that.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to our next guy, Allen Robinson of the Jags, taking on the Panthers. 6,100 in FanDuel, 5,400 in DraftKings. We made mention of them earlier when we talked about Blake Bortles. My notes, again, from when Carolina's DBs were both in concussion protocol, I figured I could play DB for Carolina. Or maybe I could take on Allen Robinson. So since it looks like those Panthers DBs are back, does that really hurt Robinson that much? Do you think, clearly we both like him, especially in a season-long format. But this weekend, assume that Panthers defense is healthy. Are you really throwing him into any lineups?
Like I said earlier, the strength of that Panthers defense is the front 7, not the back 4. Even if those guys are starting, I don't like them that much. I don't think they're that good. So I think Allen can beat them, and he's going to get peppered with targets. This is a guy that could finish with 150 targets, 160 targets easily this season. For him to get 10 targets a game is not even close to outlandish.
And it did seem like Bortles loved him in the preseason, so it was good to.
Marquise is always hurt, so he's whatever. And Robinson is a lot more talented than Hearns. Hearns is still a good player, but
they lost Shorts.
It's going to be Allen and Yeldon. That's it.
All right, so there you go for Allen Robinson. Moving on to our next guy, John Brown. The Cardinals taking on the Saints, who, again, let me skip the prices and go right to my reasoning. I mean, I can play DB for the Saints maybe this weekend because they do have pretty much everybody injured, right? I mean, almost their entire team is either on IR or some sort of injury or questionable. John Brown sitting at 6,000 on Fanduel, 4,500 on DraftKings. Who's stopping him from just burning everybody and catching a deep touchdown this week?
Nobody. The breakout is coming, and it's starting this week. John Brown lived with Carson Palmer. He had some of his best games when Carson Palmer was starting. Michael Floyd, we don't even know if he's playing week 1, even if he is. John Brown is Carson's guy. And like last year, if you listen, like I love Michael Floyd, and I thought Michael Floyd was that guy. It's John Brown. And John Brown is basically a T.Y. Hilton clone. And Bruce Arians, the two guys that he is put in this role that he's putting John Brown in this season, last was T.Y., but before him, Antonio Brown. I like that list of people, of guys he's trying to mold him like. He's playing in that role in the Bruce Arians offense, and as we've seen the last couple of years, that is a very, very nice role to be in. It's a very nice role to be in. The breakout is coming. The man is a superstar. He's a top 24 wide receiver if Carson Palmer stays healthy. So it starts.
I can't argue with you. I like him a lot this year. So, and especially this weekend against that defense. We're gonna move on to one of my guys, Davante Adams, my boy. He's hopefully filling in for rest and not in peace, but rest in bed. Jordy, get healthy soon.
Or Jordy.
Taking on the Bears this weekend. FanDuel, Davante sitting at 5,500. DraftKings, 4,400. Chiefs is going to be good this weekend, man. I think we're going to eat a lot. I think it's going to be a good weekend to just crush them. Just screw John Fox. Own them this weekend. Davante Adams, I mean, he's not going to put up Jordy-type numbers, right? He's not going to give you right away 8 for 110 and 2 touchdowns, right, or something like that. I think Rodgers is going to take his time to spread the ball around, see what he can get out of Adams, see what he can get out of Montgomery. If James Jones is really back and playing, see, make sure they can work him in. They're going to continue to work Lacy hard, Starks hard. If they have the lead, I don't know. Because of the criticism from Seattle last year, I don't know if we have the lead, if they're really going to keep, how long they're going to keep pushing the gas pedal, right? They took it off in the second half of the championship game, and that's what hurt them. So now it's kind of like, okay, we'll keep it on, but is it going to be on for that long? And that's my question. So, I mean, I like Adams a lot, especially in season long. This $4,400 and $5,500 price tags, I mean, since you're getting full point in DraftKings and half point in FanDuel, I personally like them. What about you right now? Sorry I went on there.
No, I mean, it's your guy. Like, that's
my boy.
Like, that's me, like, going after. I love Davante Adams this week because he is 4,400 and he's starting in the Packers offense. Like, the end. Game over. Like, the price was set before Jordy got hurt. Now Jordy's hurt. He's in the Jordy role. Well, he's not exactly in the Jordy role, but he's going to get a lot of his targets. So I think even if you play him in a cash game and he does poorly, I think almost everybody on the planet's playing him. So you can take him and play him comfortably. Even if he doesn't do well, he's not going to really hurt your team because he's going to be very widely owned in cash games.
I agree. I think he's going to be very widely owned across the entire industry, no matter what game you play this weekend, because he's going to be exactly what you said, that cheap starting receiver on the outside for the Packers. He's as close to a must own in a cash game this week, I think, as you can get.
Yep.
All right, moving on.
It's like the Trey Mason game last year, like Thanksgiving week when he played the Raiders.
True.
Like, everybody played him. He had a great game.
You had to play him.
So even if he scored 3 points, it wouldn't have mattered because everybody played him.
Everybody played him, exactly. You got to do it. All right, we're moving on to Devontae Parker of the Finns at the Redskins. FanDuel 5,400, DraftKings 4,100. We still love us some fish in week 1, but I think you touched on it earlier. We may not love this fish. He doesn't seem quite ready. So anything beyond that, I mean, I think we're giving him a stay away recommendation here for week 1.
Yeah, just for this week. This is obviously, as I said earlier, this is Bay number 4. I love this man. He's going to be a freak. I think he's a top 20 receiver by the end of the year. Just needs a week or two to get up to speed. Yeah, you can't play him this week because once they go up, they're not gonna waste him, and they're gonna try to keep him healthy for games that actually matter.
Yeah.
I just I
Okay.
don't think you definitely can't play him in cash. You might be able to play him in tournament just because Tannehill might be like, hey, this is my deep ball now, and he's gonna throw a really good deep ball to Devontae Parker. And even if he doesn't, Devontae Parker is gonna jump over everybody and get it. So
Okay.
just get ready to
Well,
hear a
let's.
lot of Devontae Parker this year, just not this week.
All right. Let's move on from him. Then we don't want to waste everybody's time. Eddie Royal is our next guy on the Bears now, taking on the Packers week 1. Fanduel 5,900, DraftKings 3,900. From my looks of it, he might be
I
the
don't think
only healthy wide receiver
yeah.
on that
I don't
roster
think
week 1.
I don't think
So
Alshon's playing. I think
yeah,
if Alshon doesn't play, Martellus becomes a must play, and so does Royal because they have to throw the ball. I think Forte's done. He's gonna fall off a cliff by week 5. Like he's not a running back anymore. He's not good anymore. Without Trestman, he can't. He just can't run the ball. He's not like a high volume running back. He's a good running back with low rushing volume and high catching the ball out of the backfield and getting to space. They want to run the ball this year. It's not going to work. They're playing your Packers. Your Packers are just a 1,000 times better. They have to throw the ball, and it has to go to Royal, who's played with Cutler before, had his best season ever with Cutler, his
mm-hmm,
rookie year,
mm-hmm.
before Cutler got shipped out. It's if Alshon doesn't play, you have to play Royal or Bennett. You have to play one of them because they're going to get huge volume.
That's true, or both. I mean, you don't have to play both, but either play one or the other, right? Because you're right, they're going to get volume. They have to get it to somebody. Um, Eddie Royal, I hate recommending guys that are going against my boys, but at 3,900,
Yeah, but like
again,
this isn't
who
like
who
one of
else
those.
is there to throw to? That's
Yeah,
all.
this isn't like one of those recommendations like, oh, this guy's gonna beat us. No, this is like this guy's gonna get points because we're gonna beat them so badly,
Right.
kind of things. So like, don't feel bad.
I hope so anyway. All right. Let's switch on back to our next wide receiver, Stevie Johnson of the Chargers, taking on the Lions again. FanDuel only 4,700, DraftKings 3,700. Stevie finally has a QB, so I think he's poised for a great year overall. Lions still iffy in that secondary, iffy at best. So I especially like him this week to just kind of have big week 1 coming out. What about you?
Love it, absolutely love it. Philip Rivers gonna have to throw the ball to Woodhead, Stevie. I think Stevie has the better year than Keenan. I'm definitely in the minority on that. I don't love Keenan Allen
Mm,
right now. I think Stevie Johnson is a more talented wide receiver. He's going to play in a position for Rivers to get him the ball more because he's going to kind of play more inside than outside. Also, this is the best quarterback Stevie Johnson's ever played with. Before he went to the 49ers, 3 straight years, 1,000 yards. Best quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
exactly.
You get to
Exactly.
play with. I mean, I'm not a huge Philip Rivers fan. Like, I don't think he's one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the game, but he's a very good established veteran quarterback that can have very good games and make very mediocre wide receivers pretty good for fantasy. So Stevie Johnson might be one of the more talented wide receivers he plays with, and Stevie Johnson and Philip Rivers is one of the most talented quarterbacks he's played with. I think this is a match made in heaven for this season and this week.
I agree. I like it. I like it a lot. And we both said as much. So we'll move on to our next receiver. We got a pair of them, the Ravens receivers, Kamar Aiken and Marlon Brown, taking on the Broncos this weekend in Denver. FanDuel, $100 separates them. Aiken at 4,600, Brown at 4,500. DraftKings, $300 separates them. Aiken at 33 with Brown at 3,000. Question mark though. Flacco is elite.
No, no, this
Why are
isn't.
we recommending these guys?
I
Because
only
I'm not.
I
I'm
only
going to put
said
this on
this
you.
is just like what the heck flex plays for tournaments. You know, like this is not a good situation. But Flacco has to throw the ball, and they are going to throw the ball because they're playing Denver, and they're going to get beat. I think this whole division's terrible. I just everybody's overrating this division way too much. The Steelers, the Bengals, the Browns. I mean, not the Browns, but the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Ravens. They were good last year because they beat up on the AFC South and the NFC South. That's why a bunch of them made the playoffs. They're not good. They just aren't good football teams. Lived in Baltimore last year. I watched a lot of the Ravens. They're not good. Andy Dalton and the Bengals, they're not good. The Steelers, their defense is terrible. They just lost Pouncey.
All
They're
right,
their
all right,
teams.
all right. Let's reel you back
Sorry,
in because we're talking about the Ravens and the Broncos game.
I
So
know.
who cares about the other teams?
They still have to throw the ball though. Like somebody has to get the wide receiver 2 targets. It has to happen. One of them will be
Okay.
probably a pretty good tournament play. But other than that, like don't even pretend to think that you're going to put them in a cash game lineup.
Okay, good. I agree with you on that. If you had to choose one of those guys, who would it be?
Aiken, Marlon Brown drops the ball a lot. I
Okay.
watched. So I mean, I was there, so I was forced to watch Ravens games. Like
All right.
Marlon Brown has more touchdown upside, but Kamar Aiken just is better.
I was actually gonna go Brown for that specific reason because he could probably catch a deep touchdown.
Yeah, but so can Aiken.
All right. So next receiver on the board, we've got Brandon Coleman of the
Yeah.
Saints taking on the Cardinals. Fanduel is at 4,500. DraftKings at 3,000. I bring up the liar liar line. Simmons is old. He was out of the game. He should have been out of the game years ago. Talking, of course, not about Simmons, but about Marquez Colston. I think Coleman is the new Colston, right?
I can't believe you just did that. You just like take a minute to like you just did that. That just happened.
Got to do it, man.
Everybody, that just happened. Like
it's
that, they're done.
it's
Okay.
so applicable, though. It's so applicable, right? I mean, you're looking at
Yeah.
it,
No,
and
I mean,
Coleman's taking snaps with the ones.
I still think Colston's gonna have an okay year. I mean, it's New Orleans offense. You don't know what you're gonna get week to week, no matter what, except for the number one target, who now is Cooks and is not Graham. But Brandon Coleman is 6'6", and he's a freak of nature. If you've seen highlights of this kid at Rutgers, like he looks amazing and terrible. The plays he looks terrible is because his quarterback might have been the worst quarterback I've ever seen in a highlight video. The man cannot throw the ball. If it's anywhere near Brandon Coleman, he's coming down with it. To go from what he had at Rutgers to being in the same system for a little while and now getting the opportunity to start playing with Drew Brees, this guy is a freak. He's not just like a 6'6" big guy that like plays tight end. He can get down the field and he can be a huge red zone target and replace Jimmy Graham's red zone targets. So I love him this year, and I think they're going to unveil him this week.
But even against those
He's
tough
so
DBs,
big. He's so big.
yeah, but you've got
Listen,
some tough DBs over
even
there in
against those
Arizona, man.
those DBs, we used that last year. Patrick Peterson isn't very good at covering people. Amari Cooper torched him in the preseason. He got lit up a lot last year. Dude, they gave up probably, I think it was like the top 3 or top 5 most points to wide receivers last year because Patrick Peterson just couldn't cover anybody. He wasn't good. He might be better this year, but last year he just wasn't very good. He wasn't the real Patrick Peterson.
Okay.
I think I love him as a player. I think he's a fantastic football player, but coverage wise, he leaves a lot lacking.
Might leave a bit to be desired, but I think he's still one of the best DBs in the game. But anyway, so you like him? Would you play him in cash?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll play him in cash.
All right, let's move on to the last receiver on the list here, and that is another one of my boys, Ty Montgomery of Green Bay. Again, taking on the Bears. He's sitting at minimum prices. FanDuel, he's at 5K, DraftKings at 3K. And in this situation, I say more cheese is better, but now that James Jones is back in town, you really can only look at Montgomery as a GPP play, right? Before that, I think he could have been a really nice cash play because he was going to get the targets. He's going to get looks outside and inside. But now with Jones there, assuming Jones kind of slips into that wide receiver 3 spot, which Montgomery was supposed to have, I think that hurts Montgomery's value. Now, it doesn't make him worthless, like I said. He's 3K on DraftKings. He's 5K on FanDuel. I mean, he's going to get his looks. Also, I don't know if you play on a site that, or in a league for that matter, that takes return yards into account or return touchdowns into account. But Montgomery is going to be returning some kicks for the Packers this year. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, you can't play him in cash at all.
No, I don't think you can. No. Not in cash. I mean, that price is very, very tempting, but it wouldn't be much for him to pay it off. But you just with James Jones in there now, you really don't know.
I still like Janis better anyway, so
He's down on the chart though. You're
But he's a
nuts.
freak.
You're nuts. Anyway,
He's a freak.
no, you're nuts. I like Janis a lot. I really do,
I will
but
make him May number
Montgomery
5
is.
if you keep shit talking your own wide receiver.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying I think Montgomery's in a better spot than Janis is. He can run better routes. He has nice hands. I like Montgomery a lot.
Okay, fine. But Janis is a freak of nature.
Sure.
I'll
I
take
won't
him.
deny it.
Trade him to the Jets.
No, I mean I still want him.
No, you don't want to play him.
All
Still
right.
give him to us. I'll
You
take
wish.
Janis in a heartbeat.
All right. Done with wide receivers now. We're going to move on to our last and final group of the night. We're going to hopefully get through these so Grandpa over here can get to bed on time. Tight ends. Our first tight end is Tyler Eifert of the Bengals, taking on the Raiders. Fanduel at 5K, DraftKings at 3,500. It hurts when I furt, though, Alex. Can you help me here?
Yeah. I think he's gonna. I farted all over the Raiders this week. Like, listen. Last year, first two drives, 3 catches, 36 yards. Then his elbow basically just
Blew up.
Ear to ear.
Gross, yes.
It was probably one of the sickest things I saw in red zone last year. He's just like, people forget, like, the only reason he didn't blow up year one was because Gresham split touches with him and they kind of slowly put him into the offense. This is a guy that was picked in the middle, like, what was he, 20th pick overall to the Bengals? This guy has a pedigree, came from a great system in Notre Dame. He was supposed to be a superstar. He was on his way to being a superstar last year and his elbow came out. Now he doesn't have Gresham to deal with. He's probably going to be the number 2 receiver in Cincinnati, who has a running attack. He's going to be tremendous on play action. That's a big thing. He's going to be huge for play action. And he's going to be another big red zone target. I like it. I mean, Dalton can only throw to trees. We saw it last year. Yeah, he needs A.J. Green. When A.J. Green's not there, Sanu's huge. He has to throw it to Sanu. And Eifert's huge. He has to throw it to big guys because he's so inaccurate. He's so bad.
I hear you. I like Eifert a lot. There was also a lot of talk about him in camp just being unstoppable and uncoverable by his own team, and his own defense is very, very good. So
yeah, and that's like the same report we heard about Kelsey from his team last year.
And it ended up being true, right? I mean, Kelsey was a beast.
The only reason Kelsey wasn't like the best player, Bay number 2, we finally talk about Kelsey.
There he is.
Kelsey. The only reason Kelsey didn't have a huge year, because Andy Reid said we were holding him back. Like, Eifert is basically,
Let's not.
No, just real quick. Kelsey is considered mini Gronk. I consider Eifert mini Olsen. Like a younger version of Greg Olsen.
Okay, I can see that.
Their games are similar, like Gronk and Kelsey's are. And they just have the similar physical profiles, and I view them being the same type of player to their team.
Okay, I can see that. All right.
I wasn't going just on a Kelsey rant. I know.
Hey man, no, I wasn't talking about the rant. I thought you were going to say Eifert was like another Kelsey, and I was going to say let's hold on.
Kelsey rant, but I was trying to tie it into.
Good tie back. I'll give it to you. All right, next tight end, Kyle Rudolph of the Vikings, taking on the 49ers this weekend.
Banana hands.
Very big banana hands. FanDuel at 5,300, DraftKings at 3,500.
Dude, all right, so I was listening to our Week 13 podcast the other day, and me and Pete had Pete went on about how Rudolph, like, the most he's had was like 8.8 points on FanDuel this year, like 53 yards was his max. He's caught 1 touchdown. He's like, why would you ever play him? And my response was banana hands. Because he has, like, that's it. Like, that's all. It doesn't matter. His hands are so big. All he has to do is just do that in the end zone, and he's going to catch a touchdown.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, he just wasn't healthy last year, so obviously, like, he didn't really do too well. But Teddy knows where the bacon is. Teddy's going to throw him the ball.
Hey, man.
Teddy knows Charles Johnson and Rudolph are his options to throw to if Adrian Peterson can't punch it in himself.
True. I like Rudolph a lot. I think, as my notes say, Christmas can come early this year, assuming Bowman isn't,
also,
all
I forgot
over
to
Rudolph.
mention, Norv Turner loves tight ends. He's going to be used more in the middle of the field than he's ever been used in his life.
There it is. So that was our reasoning for loving him last year. and
Yeah, but he was hurt. I
let's
think
hope
this year he's
that
healthy and he has that rapport with Teddy.
let's hope his injury doesn't recur, right? Yeah, I
Well, he
agree.
had like four of them, so like let's hope all of them don't recur
Let's hope
or
his
a new one.
entire season does not recur.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our next tight end, we've got Delaney Walker of the Titans going at the Bucks. FanDuel 5,400, DraftKings 3,400. My note says lean on me, and that's because rookie quarterbacks tend to lean on the tight end more than any other position. And especially now with the tight end being a veteran and one with good hands in Delaney Walker, I like Mariota to kind of lean on Delaney when he needs it. So
Yeah.
talk to me. What do you think specifically about this weekend?
I think
Do you
it's kind
think
of
he can get
interesting
free?
for DraftKings that Mariota and Jameis are the same price, and Austin Seferian-Jenkins and Delaney Walker are the same price because both rookie quarterbacks are going to lean on their tight ends early and often, and especially early if the running game's not work or it's working and they're in the like on the goal line. Pop out. Both of them are huge. They just get wide open. Like we saw in last year in week 2, ASJ had one of those plays, and Delaney Walker can do the same. Play action, split out, corner of the end zone. You just have to stand there and go like that, and it's a touchdown because they're not even going to cover you. Like Delaney Walker, I think has more between the 20s upside right now because he's been in the league a lot longer and he's shown that ability. But ASJ has just tremendous upside. Like he could turn a 10-yard catch into a 50-yard touchdown. He's just a monster.
He is. I liked ASJ a lot last year.
He's your Kelsey.
Yeah, I was pretty upset that he didn't kick ass last year.
He
was
hurt.
kind of crappy.
He still could be your Kelsey. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I still like Kelsey. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not obsessed, but yes, I do like him.
You're not obsessed with Kelsey? What's wrong with you?
I mean, not in a sexual way. All right, moving on. Moving on to the next one. Owen Daniels, OD the OG, Broncos versus Ravens this weekend. FanDuel 5,500, DraftKings 3,400. Owen Daniels I'm a big fan of in season long. I don't know so much about this weekend. I love him in season long because he's that Kubiak offense allegedly is throwing to the tight ends. Manning loves throwing to his tight ends too. He makes, Jacob Tamme look good. But tell me a little bit about what you think since you're so familiar with this Ravens defense. Does it jive? Do you think Owen Daniels has a decent chance at getting in the end zone this weekend?
No, because Kubiak just came from Baltimore. They know this offense intimately. They have good linebackers that can cover. I don't like Owen Daniels, period. Owen Daniels was just on the Ravens. They just spent an entire year covering him in practice. If anybody's going to break out tight ends, it's this week or even in the future because I just don't like Owen Daniels. It's Virgil Green. Virgil Green's more talented. Owen Daniels just basically this is what Owen Daniels does. Kubiak, you're leaving? No, wait, take me with. Oh, thanks, you took me with you. That's basically been the last 3 years. He left Houston, went to Baltimore with him, left Baltimore, followed him to Denver because he just knows the offense so well that he helps out everyone else on the offense.
Yeah.
He's so bad. He's not good anymore. We thought he could have been so good in Houston, and it just never happened because he kept getting hurt. And now he's old, and now it's kind of sad. He's just not good. Like, I get it. Peyton Manning could get him some touchdowns. He could have some nice weeks, but he is not somebody that I'm going to rely on ever.
I'm gonna have to download that sound. Simmons is old. I'm gonna have to download that and just play it every time we talk about one of these guys.
Really set up some stuff for this year.
I will. I started doing it, but I didn't have time to finish it.
We were supposed to get the balloons for the thank you DraftKings for free money play of the week last year.
That's right.
Yeah, we got to do that.
We need to do something. All right, we've got our list of things to do already. We've got 2 more slides left for you guys. Next up on our tight ends list is a 2-for-1 here. Dwayne Allen and Kobe Fleener of the Colts taking on the Bills. FanDuel, Dwayne Allen is at 5,400, Fleener at 51. DraftKings, they're both at 34. Now, last year, one of my buddies actually showed me that these two guys each caught, 8 touchdowns or 7 or 8 touchdowns apiece. They both had actually really, really good years when we're talking season long. But for me, it was impossible to predict who was going to do well when both of them were in the game. So we already mentioned I'm not a big fan of taking on that Bills defense this year. I don't think I'm going to take on either one of these guys. But give me one recommendation. Who do you take this week? Which one?
I would rather Dwayne Allen. I think last year Kobe Fleener, even though he finished as what was it, like somewhere in the top 15 of tight ends or something ridiculous, because Dwayne Allen got hurt. He had to
Mm-hmm.
throw the ball to
Mm-hmm.
Fleener. I gotta find it. Maybe I can post it next week. But there's a video of Kobe Fleener dropping a 50-yard bomb from Andrew Luck wide open. He just went like this and just like he's so bad.
Something out of Madden.
He's so bad. Dwayne Allen can catch the ball. He's a better blocker. He's going to be on the field more. I think they're going to go more with 3 wide sets, which only leaves the 1 tight end. Dwayne Allen is that guy because he's a better blocker and he's a better receiver. The only reason Kobe Fleener is on this team is because he was at Andrew Luck's tight end in Stanford. That's it. It's the only reason. Because he knows how to play with Andrew Luck. He is not. If he went anywhere else, think about it this way. He's basically like Dallas Clark, Jacob Tamme. Like without his boy, Peyton, without Andrew Luck, he's screwed.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what he does without Andrew Luck when his contract runs out. But
he will. I guarantee you, he takes minimum salary to stay in Indy with him.
It's just he had potential, right? But the thing is, even though he may be Luck's boy, Luck doesn't look to him all that often. I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying.
He's like his third or fourth read. You know what I mean? Like he's just got so many other options there.
This is what I think that he just kind of like. He didn't ask for them to, but the Colts wanted to draft him just to have somebody for Andrew Luck to be familiar with in the first year.
Sure.
And then they realized that Andrew Luck can be familiar with whoever the hell he feels like. And he's just kind of there now. Like, that's it. Like, when he's, like, if you have to use him, you use him because he knows Andrew Luck, but, like, he would much rather go to his other weapons. Like, no questions asked, he'd rather go to his other weapons.
I hear you.
So I am not one of those Kobe Fleener truthers. I hate Kobe Fleener, obviously. It's Dwayne Allen. He's a monster in the red zone. But I think Andre Johnson kind of takes away from that a little bit.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think Johnson is a great target this year. Again, this weekend going to be tough going up against that Bills D. But all right, let's move on to the end. Our last tight end here, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, my Travis Kelce apparently. From the Bucks, taking on the Titans this weekend. Fanduel at 4,700, 3,400 on DraftKings. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, right? ASJ can get a TD from just about anywhere. He's very, very athletic. He's also 6'7". He's huge. He should be one of Winston's primary targets in the red zone. The problem is Vincent Jackson, huge. Mike Evans, huge. They're all massive, right? I mean, he's got probably the biggest wide receiver, tight end combo in the league. So,
well, we can art. So, like, I mean, obviously these options are better, but I'm going to compare this to the other side of the ball too, because these teams are basically the same. On the other side, less talent. I don't want to say less talented, but less experienced. You have Justin Hunter, who's 6'4", and you have DGB, who's a monster at 6'5". He also has 2 trees to throw to. So, I think that those are the guys that they're going to try to cover more. And the tight ends are going to slip through for touchdowns. I think the tight ends are good plays because they have to lean on those guys. They do. It's their first game.
They got to do it.
They're not just going to start airing it out and looking amazing right when the season starts. Like I said it, they're not good quarterbacks. They have to lean on their tight ends if they want any success.
It's very true, man. I completely agree with you. I think they do, and that's why I'm saying I like him at that price, man. 4,700 on FanDuel, 34 on DraftKings again. I think he's a GPP play only, right? I don't know if that has to be said, but I also think in that GPP, I think he's going to be pretty contrarian because there's a lot of cheaper guys out there at tight end, and
because the minimum price for tight ends now is 25.
A lot of better names out there at tight end too. So I think if you're looking for a real contrarian play, I like Seferian-Jenkins this weekend. And with that, an hour and
can we do 2 defenses real quick that I want to talk about real fast? Because I mean, we still kind of just real quick. Dolphins, Kirk Cousins, end of story. They have Ndamukong Suh. Their front seven's ridiculous. They have a really good secondary with Rashad Jones, Brent Grimes. They're gonna slaughter them. It's gonna be bad. They might pick six first play of the game, like the Marshall
Possible.
Purdue game the other day in college football.
But you did also say end of story and then rambled on for 30 seconds. So which was it?
But I mean, no. Like, just like it's the only explanation that you need. But I'm gonna give you more anyway because that's just kind of how I do things.
Okay, so what's the second defense? Because I have nothing else to add because you're right on with it. With
Minnesota Vikings against San Francisco. We talked about they're not good. Colin Kaepernick's terrible when playing from behind. He's a less efficient quarterback when he's playing from behind. He turns the ball over more. He's just not good. He just isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that both the Dolphins and the Vikings are my two dark horses to finish top 5 in fantasy points defense season long, and it starts this week for both of them.
Okay, I agree. I mean, I said earlier.
My concern is both are on the road, but there's not really a lot of good home teams that have great matchups other than the Jets. That's it.
I hear you. I agree on the Vikings, right? I touched earlier. I love Zimmer's defense from a football perspective. I like Zimmer's defense from a Packers perspective. I hate it because it's very good.
Forgot. You gotta play them twice.
I think the Vikings are going to be very, very good season long. Their DBs kind of right? They took the cornerback from his name escapes me, but he's from Michigan State. They took him the first round. He hasn't really
Rhodes?
Yeah.
Hasn't
really lived up to expectations just yet from what you want from a first round
pick. Yeah, but they have Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, like Greenway's help. Like, I like Greenway.
No, I like Greenway too, but I'm saying just that secondary.
They have a good line. Like
secondary, again, just saying that secondary. It doesn't, I don't know. It's not sexy to me right yet.
Harrison Smith.
They're
top safety in the game. No. From an IDP perspective, at least.
Maybe from an IDP perspective, but
dude, that guy tackles everybody.
No IDPs, no tackle points in any of these DFS stuff. But that'll wrap it up for us week 1. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. All of you that tuned in. If you have any questions, go ahead, leave them in the comments. If you are new to DraftKings, haven't signed up yet, go ahead and click the link that's in the description field. Follow me on Twitter, at Evan Milano, Alex on Twitter, at Alex Hanowitz. Go ahead and read our stuff on fantasyknuckleheads.com. Visit there. Very new look for the optimizer this year. Going to be very cool. We'll show it to you throughout the year as well on here. And that'll be it until Thursday. So thank you guys for joining in.
We answer questions on Thursdays, by the way, not Tuesdays. So if you have any questions throughout the week, we will try to get to all of them on Thursdays.
Unless somehow I can get Alex to stop being so long-winded and we have time on Tuesdays.
That's just not going to happen.
Then we can answer Tuesdays.
Never going to happen. The only way you can get me to stop talking is have other people talk for me on other people. But that also backfires because then I jump in after.
Then you jump in anyway. I tried that last year, I know. But anyway, thank you guys very much for tuning in. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you for subscribing. Please leave a review and reach out to us if you guys have any questions. Good luck.
We good? Oh, okay. We're still on. Can we get off? I want to finish this.